Hi, welcome to the American News Media Center located in Central Connecticut. I'm attorney Rachel Baird, and to my left is my co-host, American News President Edward Peruta. This program, Summary Judgment, is our live weekly internet program where viewers are invited to join in our discussions and share their thoughts on various topics. Our program is also recorded and submitted to several cable TV public access channels in the state of Connecticut. If you subscribe to us on YouTube channel at Summary Judgment Talk Show, you will be notified when we go live with our programs. We also transmit live on Facebook at AM News Network.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Ed. What's on the topic list for today?
Well, several things, but
Because I don't have any idea.
no, okay.
You've kept it a secret.
I am trying to create a list of places to look during the week to come up with topics for the shows. And I found a very interesting topic, and I believe it was possibly Judicial Watch, who has filed a lawsuit, okay, against the District of Columbia Chief Medical Examiner. Did you hear about this?
No.
Okay. They want to see the autopsy of the officer who was killed, Brian Sicknick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They want to see the autopsy. Now, I happen to agree with that theory. A lot of people are going to think Judicial Watch or whoever's filing the lawsuit is ghoulish. You know, they want to look at an autopsy report. But if we go back in time to Newtown, the school mass shooting, the state of Connecticut locked down any photographs, any autopsy reports, anything. You couldn't get anything, which only fed the conspiracy theorists because there was no evidence. Nobody could see for themselves the carnage that did or didn't happen.
Well, it did happen.
For argument's sake, did or didn't happen.
No, it
Okay.
happened.
Okay. Do you believe everything that government says to you?
That happened.
Okay. I'm willing to admit that it happened,
Well, good.
but not providing the public access to evidence leads people to think that it may not have happened.
I agree with you there. I'm not sure that it leads people to think that it didn't happen. It allows people, for their own motivations and their own purposes, to say it didn't happen, which, because people follow them, they then believe that it didn't happen because somebody they follow says it didn't happen. I will give you that.
Last week, we did a program regarding the town of Wethersfield, Connecticut, and 2 different letters.
Mm-hmm.
Had we not been provided with a copy of the second letter, the public was unaware of allegations made in the second letter. And even when the second letter has been provided, there's another letter that I learned this week that has not been provided to the police chief of Wethersfield, the police department as a whole of Wethersfield, the town council of Wethersfield, or me. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is, sometimes you have to say, put it in my hand, you know.
I'm not arguing with that.
No, I understand. And I'm not trying to say that Newtown did not happen. I'm trying to say that Judicial Watch wants to look under every stone to see if the autopsy results concur with the story being told by the federal government.
I just want to, I do, not that I follow Judicial Watch, but I do read some of the things he puts up on his YouTube site. You know,
Yeah.
I watch him,
Yeah.
and he's not objective at all.
Okay.
And that's okay. There's no rule that anybody has to be objective. But he definitely comes at it from a, you know, conservative bent.
There's a phrase that we could use. Conservative, I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
Okay? Now, all I'm trying to say is people do want to look further. I'll give you an example.
But when does there get a point, even if the government does show you pictures and reports, isn't there still room to say, those are fake, they made them up?
Yes.
Isn't there going to always be room to say that no matter what? Because people want to believe what they want to believe for their own purposes, no matter what evidence there is.
Now, I understand why you would say it did happen, Newtown. Okay? I understand. And I believe that Newtown happened. But it's the government's response to Newtown that I had to question. How they handled it.
But you could say that about anything. Prove to me they landed on the moon.
My grandmother sat there and would have believed they did it on a set in Hollywood.
Prove to me the Vietnam War happened.
Well, I can attest to that.
Well, maybe you got your motivations. I don't know.
No.
I mean, we can be as ridiculous as you want to be.
Listen to what I'm trying to say. This is all I'm trying to say is somebody wants to look at all of the information who doesn't have a vested interest in the outcome.
I mean, you say you were in Vietnam. Okay, that's firsthand account. I've met state troopers who say they were at Newtown that day.
Right.
So,
right.
There you go.
Okay, I got it.
But I know we're getting off on a tangent.
Nope.
You never meant to say that. I agree with you that in Florida they call it the Sunshine Act, right?
Yeah, and
the more you let sunshine into something, the less, you know, attics or caves or hiding places there are that spurn conspiracy theories. I agree with that. Let the sunshine in.
The vacuum created by government is a perfect place for conspiracy theories to grow.
Yes.
It's like a petri dish for conspiracy.
So I'm assuming Judicial Watch made some sort of FOI, and that's why they're filing a lawsuit.
They made it. They made an FOI. We're not going to get the full truth of events at the Capitol on January 6th from politicians or a dishonest media. No surprise there. So we're going after it on our own. Okay? We filed the District of Columbia Freedom of Information Act lawsuit in the District of Columbia Superior Court against the District of Columbia for autopsies of the Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick and related records, whatever. We sued after the Office of Chief Medical Examiner of the District of Columbia denied our February 16, 2001 FOIA request. Okay? Now, I want to go back to January 6th. An officer was killed. An officer lost his life. I don't like that. And the Congress wants to award all of the Capitol police officers medals for that day. And I'm sitting here saying they got a medal for doing their job.
Well, and go ahead, give them all medals, because that'll make the medals meaningless for people that may have deserved them. We have a caller.
Summary judgment, American Note. Oh, let's see if we can. JC? I don't know what's going on. JC, are you there? JC. JC. Okay. Can't get him.
No.
Where was I?
The medals.
Oh. Napoleon is the one who really started giving out ribbons and medals, because people wanted ribbons and medals to hang on their chest.
Yeah, until we get the phones up and working, I don't know if we should continue. We'll try this time, and then if we can't...
I'll try to get
it.
JC.
You hung up on me.
There we go. Thank goodness.
Okay, you're here. Go ahead.
First of all, as far as giving these medals, government's ridiculous with medals. I mean, and it really makes them not worthy of what they're supposed to be. But on another note, let's talk about our guns. You saw the results of what was happening in San Diego this week, correct?
No, tell us about it.
Well, one of their captains was selling guns illegally out of the sheriff's headquarters.
Wow.
Because he got sentenced to 2 years in federal court, in the federal jails this week. Not only was he selling these guns as a straw buyer, he was a straw man for them. Okay, he was selling CCWs.
He was selling...
The same person turning Ed Peruta down for a CCW was being paid for it. Being paid to accept money for CCWs.
Well, we kind of figured that was going on way back when.
Well, we thought they were giving them out to their friends and cronies and relatives.
People who make political contributions.
Okay. But this sounds like even a worse... Yeah. I don't know if it can be worse than that, but it sounds like more of the same.
Right.
So 2 years, yeah. JC, that's all he got?
That's all he got. This guy was working on replacing Gore. He was going to be supposedly Gore's replacement. He's also the same one we suspect for sending hate crime out of the sheriff's headquarters. Back a few years ago, you guys might recall some of the local guys like me and some other guys like me were receiving hate speech on our pages.
Right.
And when the IPs were ran, they went back to the sheriff's headquarters. And he was a lieutenant then, and he came out and he tried to bribe the media to not do the story on this. Which was funny is none of the media even speak about his bribe. I mean,
right.
He literally tried to bribe media to go away.
JC?
What we got to do? Yeah.
Okay. So, a member of the San Diego Sheriff's Department has been arrested, convicted,
yeah,
and sentenced for selling guns and issuing CCWs for money.
Yes.
And you say he was the hand-picked successor or planned to be the successor to Gore.
Yes.
And you're telling me that Gore didn't know what was going on, because here's how that works.
Or maybe Gore set him up.
We're giving out 10 CCWs per year. Now all of a sudden we're giving out 200 because My lawyer, Paul Newhart, told me right after my case was turned down by the Supreme Court, Gore started issuing CCWs. In other words, I think he didn't want it to come back and bite him again. Okay? And now that you start opening it up, now you're opening it up to all of the aspects of CCW, including, oh yeah, I'll get you one. I'm a high-ranking member of the sheriff's, but I'll get you one. Okay. But it goes like this, JC. He got caught. He either pled or went to trial, got found guilty, and got sentenced. And I'm sure he's not a member of the department anymore.
No, he's not.
And I'm sure he's not going to be able to run for public office anymore.
At least not for the next 2 years.
Well, is he a convicted felon?
Why can't you run for office when you're a convicted felon?
But if it's a constitutional office in the state of California,
Okay.
it may be different. In other words, you're a convicted felon. We're not going to take you and put you back inside the hen house. I mean, we did it in Connecticut with Mayor Gannon. Okay?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, this is always going to come back to bite him in the ass. It's no different than when I was a young buck collecting insurance in a black neighborhood in Indian River County, Florida. What's his name? The one that was going to run for president. The black guy that was going to run for president. Jesse. What
Jackson?
was? No. Was it?
Jesse Jackson? I don't know.
Okay. And I said, it's never going to happen. You know, they were talking about Ted Kennedy. That's who it was. Ted Kennedy.
Okay.
And I said, he's never going to make it. Why? I said, because of the woman in the car at the bottom of the canal.
Yeah.
Okay? He's never going to, and they didn't know anything about issues with Jesse Jackson and his extramarital child. They didn't know anything about Ted Kennedy and Mary Jo Krupekny. They knew nothing about this. Time had gone on. But the media they search their files. And they find out, oh, he got arrested in 1984. Okay? He's not going to run again, JC. We need to be dealing with issues that are occurring today and issues that will occur tomorrow. I'll give you an example.
Yeah, well, what about, though, if they didn't fully investigate that, though?
An example. Hold on. You want me to give you an example of what's going on today?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the judge? What about the judge that just talked about the biased media?
Yes, I am aware of that. That was interesting.
Now, is he still a judge?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
It was a dissent down in the D.C. circuit, I believe, J.C., where a judge just said that the defamation laws are biased towards conservatives. But anyway, JC, I think Ed has a tight schedule here today. I think he's got a topic list he wants to get back to. So,
yeah, we'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay, folks.
Thanks for calling
You guys
in.
have a great day. Get on.
Okay.
Thanks, JC.
Bye. Bye-bye. Okay. I have said right along that Kamala Harris will be the President of the United States within the next 4 years.
I think everybody has said that.
No, I believe that this is a woman who goes to sleep every night with a secret prayer in her head.
But Ed, it was set up that way, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I'm shocked because they're saying that he stumbled. Did you hear this?
I did hear that. I didn't see it.
He stumbled. It's all over.
Right.
They have video and still photography. He must have stumbled more than once climbing up the stairs to get into the aircraft.
Yeah.
And you know what he does is, like you see him bouncing, he's running like a young guy.
I know.
Okay?
It's
and I'm sure that he wanted to jump up the stairs and show everybody how healthy he is.
Yeah.
And he couldn't, when he fell down, he couldn't get up. And then he got up and he fell down again.
Yeah, it's
sad.
Yeah, somebody described it to me like a fall that somebody takes at a nursing home and they can't get back up. And I just didn't really bring myself to watch it. The description's bad enough.
But
and then you got people like Putin kind of making fun of him to a certain extent.
Biden called Putin a killer.
Oh, well, he started it.
And Putin said to Biden, the White House
He called him a
staff,
killer.
he called Putin a killer, okay? And you know something? Maybe he is. But here's what Putin did.
Well, I think over there it's kill or be killed almost, but go ahead.
Smart political move on Putin's part. He goes like this. Look, rather than talking in sound bites to each other,
Yeah.
why don't we get together and we'll have our discussion / debate or whatever live in front of the whole world. And I know what Putin's going to do.
So
I know what Putin's trying to do.
So is that like the world leader version of say it to my face? Come outside and say it to my face.
Yeah.
Call
Don't
me a
hide
killer.
don't hide behind all them security people. Just come on, let's talk about it.
Right.
Okay? Because I think that Putin realizes that Biden fumbles and mumbles and falls, okay? And all during the campaign, he was in his basement. He really didn't.
Well, not during the entire thing. He did come out. But the sad part about it is that's why the Democratic Party wanted him because of those very characteristics of his. Because they don't want him there for the entire time.
I'm telling you that Kamala Harris must sit there and go like this.
Well, everybody knows
I'm
that,
the heartbeat, I'm the heartbeat away, and that's if something bad happened to the president. But I'm also next in line if under I think it's the 25th Amendment, everybody says he's lost his mind. He can't add 1 and 1 and get 2. Okay? He has to be replaced. And there's no election. She's in.
I do follow a subgroup on Reddit that is about AOC, just to hear the things that she says. Well, read the things that she says, and she's got a picture up there that with her and Bernie Sanders holding their arms up like this in victory, and on top it says it should have been Bernie. So we knew that would start pretty quick, and it's already started because there's no way Biden can ever be liberal enough for a lot of the Democrats. Okay, go ahead with your next topic.
No, I gotta find. Okay, let me explain. I have section 306 of the Wethersfield, Connecticut Town Charter.
Okay.
And this is what begins to happen when you do shows like this, and you pass it to public access, and people know that you're talking about issues. I'm going to read section 306 of the Wethersfield Town Charter. Now, the United States government has the Constitution. The state of Connecticut has a Constitution. And local communities usually have a town charter, which is like a... What's the matter?
There's some sort of like breeze back here.
A breeze?
Yes.
Huh.
She's laughing.
Oh, okay. So, a town charter to a town is like the Constitution to the federal government or the state. You got to abide by it. Section 306. Other offices during the term for which elected, no member of the Council or Board of Education shall hold any other office, elective or appointive, or employment in or under the town government. No member of the Council or Board of Education shall hold any compensated appointive office or employment with the town until 1 year after the cessation of duties. What, you're going to find the year?
I did find it.
Where'd it come from?
It was coming out of the heater, so I turned the heater off and moved it. Okay. Mystery solved.
Detective. Okay. So here's the issue. There is a member of the Wethersfield Town Council, and he has been appointed to or accepted by the town of Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department. And members of the Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department are in fact considered town employees.
You know what this reminds me of? That reminds me of East Hartford, where there was a town employee who was a councilman, so he was beholden to the mayor for his job, but then he's on the council passing judgment on what the mayor does. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That seemed really wrong. Maybe they had a different charter, though, that allowed it.
This issue of the current sitting town councilman
Let me see.
being issued what's called turnout gear, fire department equipment,
Right.
okay, and being carried on the rolls of the Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department, okay, because they receive financial tax breaks, they receive compensation at, I believe it's $8 an hour. Say they get called out to an incident and it's going to last days. They get paid $8 an hour. They are
That doesn't come under this section, because I could see where you could kind of make a point where a volunteer fireman you can't hold any other office, elective or appointive. Does somebody appoint him to that?
yeah,
Who?
town manager.
He does?
Town manager is like the personnel director. The town manager appoints. What I'm trying to say to you is this.
I could make an argument it doesn't apply. I see what he's going to argue.
I can see what he's going to argue
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But the fact remains, okay? And here's the basic question. Is a member of the Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department
Right.
a town employee? He gets retirement credits. He gets a stipend. If they get called out to a fire that lasts, say a fire lasts 3 or 4 days, okay? They immediately start getting paid $8 an hour,
Okay.
okay? They have medical benefits for on the job, workman's comp, okay?
Okay.
They are town employees. And if the question is, okay, town manager needs to ask the town attorney for a legal opinion.
It's must have come up before. Can't be the first time it's come up.
Well, there are always issues going on in public safety.
Right.
Whether it's a police department and somebody wants to be a lieutenant or a sergeant or a chief. Whether it's a fire department where somebody wants to be the fire marshal, a deputy chief, an assistant chief, or whatever. You know, there's always the struggles going on. There's always the little factions within. But if whoever brought this to my attention is correct, then how did it happen? Now, I don't want to hear somebody say to me, oh, I wasn't aware of that. When I appointed him or I took him to the fire department, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, let's go behind this and ask why. Why is this part of the town charter? I think it's part of the town because if you look at the why, then you can kind of get at whether it would include this.
It didn't want a popular police officer running for city council or town council, getting elected and sitting on the council, and then participating in the forming of an annual budget. Which included.
There's a conflict.
Yeah, it's a conflict.
Yeah, a lot of not only that, but
conflict.
there could be a lot of different
There's
conflicts.
a lot of conflict. And,
Right.
And the other thing is, you know, if I'm on the fire department and my chief knows that I sit on the town council, okay, he's going to be very careful about how he treats me.
Yes.
He may give me some passes. He may, you know, whatever.
I think there's a conflict.
And
that's why they have this.
Have to, because here's what I understand.
They should amend it to be clear.
They gave me.
They should put volunteer in there.
They
should add volunteer.
They sent me a copy of Section 306 with some of the facts, the names. Okay? And I'm sitting back saying to myself, well, I said to the person, I said, is the manager aware of this issue?
So there's a town councilman, right?
Yeah.
And how many people are on the town council? There's a bunch, right? 7, 8, 9.
Maybe it's 9,
Okay.
5, 4.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not just 2 or 3, and he
Members of the Wethersfield, Connecticut Town Council.
and he wants to join the volunteer fire department, or already has
He's been appointed.
been appointed as what? Just on the department, not as the chief or anything.
He's not the chief.
He's not the chief, so he's just like a regular firefighter, right?
Right.
Did he go to firefighter school?
He probably will.
Oh, okay. So
I don't think I don't know those facts yet.
okay. And the town manager is the one who appointed him. We got to find that out.
Okay.
How did he get on?
Well, it's kind of unique in Connecticut. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
In other
it's
words,
complicated.
there's a social group called the Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department. That has nothing to do with government. It's their private little non-501c private individual corporation.
Do they put out fires?
Then there's the fire department proper, that they're a member over there and they're a member over here. For example, if they want to have a private meeting of the Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department, there's a name for it, okay? You can't, it doesn't fall under FOI because it's a private entity.
Got it.
Okay? Up in Litchfield County, you saw, what was it, Oakdale, Oakville, or whatever it was, north of Torrington, Burville, that it was a private club that owned the building, owned the equipment, and the town supplied them with a fire. They were totally separate from the town. And the town just said, we're taking the fire truck back. And then Burville gave all of their equipment to some other town in Connecticut, and Torrington was kind of beside himself. So wait a minute, you should have given it to us.
Well, no, you closed us down.
We
'cause I
bought
think there
it.
was
We
a
bought it with
disagreement.
our funds.
Mm-hmm.
It's ours. But what I'm saying, all I'm trying to say is this: is that if this is true, that 306 addresses volunteer firefighters as members of the town council, then someone has to step up to the plate and say, I'm sorry, but you got to turn in your fire gear or you have to resign from the council. But you can't do both. You could resign your seat and be a fireman, or you could resign from the fire department and finish out your term as a politician, elected politician, and then when you don't run, you can go back to the fire department.
Well, but no member of the council.
1 year.
1 year, yeah.
Yep, 1 year. The question is a Wethersfield volunteer firefighter an employee of the town of Wethersfield? That is the question. And I'm willing to bet you 99% of the people in the Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department will say, yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen is, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I'm trying to think of where there's been incidents where the fire department's been on duty for months. In Wethersfield, they used to have a landfill, a dump,
Mm-hmm.
and the fire got down inside the landfill, and it burned for 6 months to a year.
Have you heard of that place in Pennsylvania? I think it's
The
called
coal mines are burning,
Centrala. I'm pretty sure is the name of it.
and the coal mines are burning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
For decades.
it's going to burn for decades.
Yeah.
It's burning through the coal.
Yeah.
Who knows? It may come up into the basement or something.
Well,
But-
the town is, nobody lives there anymore.
I know.
You can't live there.
So all I'm trying to say is that somebody sent me an email with that section,
Mm-hmm.
called me on the phone, and gave me some information relative to that section of the Wethersfield Town Charter.
Mhm.
But here's really what it comes down to, Rachel. We have a videotape of a sitting Superior Court judge saying to a class of students at Northwest Community College that he doesn't read the Connecticut Constitution. You know, I mean, we have that clip. when in fact the Connecticut Constitution is as important to the citizens of Connecticut as the federal government Constitution is to the whole United States.
Well, I had an interesting conversation with an attorney who's writing a brief in a First Amendment issue, and he wanted me to look at his brief and just give him any thoughts that I had about it. And one thing he said was, in talking about some other First Amendment cases in Connecticut, is why don't attorneys use the state constitution when it comes to free speech? Because the Connecticut state constitution actually gives more rights.
Exactly.
Excuse me, it doesn't give rights. It guarantees more protections.
It addresses, mentions, references.
Well, no, there's a big difference between gives and guarantees,
Okay.
and I made that mistake.
Okay.
So nobody gives you rights. It guarantees your pre-existing rights.
Then let me put it this way. It explains
Okay.
in.
It's not what I meant, but okay.
No, I know what. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. And it gives. It doesn't give, but anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I made my point. I got it. So people should recognize
example,
it.
and I've said this 100 times. The federal Second Amendment says, I can't even remember now, shall have the right to keep and bear arms.
Yeah, shall not have the right, because you're
Okay.
going to upset a lot of
Okay,
people
go
out there
ahead,
when you
go
say
ahead,
that.
Go ahead.
That the right shall not be infringed. Okay.
The right to keep and bear arms
To bear
shall
arms.
not be infringed.
To bear
Okay.
arms.
The Connecticut Constitution simply says the citizens of the state of Connecticut
Well, we'd have to look it up to see exactly what it says, but it's
shall have the right to keep, bear arms in defense of themselves in the state.
Right.
Okay? The Connecticut Constitution doesn't even mention the word keep because it was a given. In other words, why do we have to tell people you have a right to keep it when in fact everybody knows you have a right to keep it?
Yeah.
But it was that one missing word between the federal Constitution and the state Constitution that made the state Constitution more protective of our rights than the federal Constitution. What you're saying is that the Connecticut Constitution gives us more protections against the abuse of our rights than the federal Constitution does as far as the First Amendment goes.
Right. Okay.
And you're right. I don't know how to explain it either because it doesn't give us. We have God-given rights, but somebody.
I could explain it. Okay. So, for example, under the federal Constitution, it guarantees the right to free speech.
Right.
And if you're a public employee and you make some comments about a situation at work, that speech isn't necessarily protected as falling under the First Amendment because it's maybe not in the public interest. It has to do with a workplace issue. It's disruptive to the workplace. It's like a true threat. If it threatens other people and it disrupts society, then it's deemed not to be protected by the First Amendment. Now you go to the state constitution in Connecticut, and it does protect speech at work, public employees, to a greater degree than the federal constitution protects it. And so it's a difference in the level of protections for certain speech. So there you go. Next subject. Done with that. What's next?
Is it flea collars?
Oh yeah, flea collars. That's the big
Flea
issue.
collars. What? You know, there was a commercial on TV where the dog talks.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's cute, but evidently, a lot of the dogs that listened to the dog on TV and said to their mothers and fathers, "Oh, when you're at the pet store, can you bring me home a flea collar from this company?" They're dead.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know what to say about that. You know, back in 2007, they had dog food that...
Out of China.
Yeah, out of China.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you know, as an owner, you do your best.
You do.
And I don't know what the point is. The point is it's good somebody found out about it and it's going to be stopped. I mean, I give my dogs pills for heartworm and fleas and ticks, but maybe in a year somebody will discover it's poisonous and I've been killing my dogs. I don't know what to say about that, except it makes pet owners, I'm sure these people that bought those things for their pets, feel very bad, and I feel bad for them.
I do too.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, anything in the initial research that would have indicated this was possible.
They've been using those forever, though. I mean, it used to be that's what people used, the things around the neck, and I always thought they were kind of gross because they felt kind of powdery or something, and you weren't supposed to touch them for a while if you put them on. It kind of made your dog unapproachable in that one area of its body. And so most people now use the pills, I think, although the pills are expensive. They're very expensive. So it could be an economic thing as well, so that's very sad.
Yeah, the pill company could have knocked off the collar company.
And what are the damages exactly? I'm sorry, but when you lose a dog or whatever, the damages
there
are
is
just...
no money
Yeah.
that can compensate the owner of a dog.
Yeah.
Especially because there's a new program on, and it's dog rescue. And I have to tell you, I look at my dog like she's a part of the family. I know you do.
She looks at it that way too.
I know you do.
Bassy.
I know you do. And we're sitting here doing this internet whatever, and Daisy's over there sleeping in a chair. And Daisy has her issues, and it's like you rescue dogs that have issues. If you see a dog online and it says it's been there for a year, it hasn't been adopted, and it's like Duke. He's got one eye, his ears are all torn up, he's probably fighting or something. And, oh, there she goes, get in her car, I'm going to go take the dog. Oh, I just...
What else do you have? We don't really have so much time.
How much time do we have left? 15?
You ran through everything?
Well, I don't like to peck on news articles, but
right.
I'm concerned.
Well,
like I said,
let's talk about something that you know directly then. You did a big favor for me this week, and I really appreciated it. I went to a courthouse in Connecticut, and we're not going to name which one. And there weren't that many people that came, defendants. It was a Monday, so it was kind of busy with the domestic violence arrest over the weekend. So that made it a little busier. And it was a surreal experience because you're in the courtroom, your client's in the courtroom, other defendants are in the courtroom, but nobody else is. The prosecutor's on video, the bail commissioner's on video, the public defender's on video, and I would say the judge was on video, but it was blurred out. So there was a person who was speaking as if they were a judge and making orders and asking questions like they were a judge. But if I had to swear under oath that that was a judge, I don't think I could. It would all be circumstantial evidence. I don't even remember the judge's name being announced, and I can't even sit here right now and tell you what the judge's name was. And
White.
Okay, Judge White. I did not know that. But I, at the risk of whatever, I don't think it's right to start a practice, COVID or not, where people are showing up to court, in person or remotely, being asked to respect the system, and being exposed to a judge who doesn't show his face. I just find that problematic. And this judge, warranted or not, I'm not going to judge, was very, very aggressive with some of the defendants.
I heard that.
there was a woman who was involved in who was arrested. She wasn't represented. English was not her first language. And when a protective order is issued against you, saying, you were arrested because it's alleged that you did something to this person, hit them, yelled at them, did something, threatened them. So therefore, while this case is pending, you can't be near this person. Okay, that's a protective order, just so people understand. And because we protect victims in Connecticut, unlike Sturgis, South Carolina, where they put the victims on television, say their names and addresses, here in Connecticut, you're not supposed to say the alleged victim's name in court. And so what they do is they say, okay, I'm issuing you a protective order, Ed. And the protected person is LP. Do you know who LP is? Well, usually you do, because that's why you're there in court, because LP called the cops on you and you got arrested,
In my
right?
case, that would be Lois Peruta.
Right, but God forbid, you can't say her name
I
in
don't
court.
know who that is.
Well, the thing is, if English is not your first language, maybe you've never been to court before, I don't know, and somebody who you cannot even see, you can't even see the person, is saying to you, do you know who LP is? And LP, is it initials? Is it a name? LP. Do you know who LP is? It can so easily be misunderstood.
Is he related to Elfie?
Yeah, it could be so easily misunderstood. And he said to her, he goes, again, you can't see him. He goes, you mean, it says here on this form that you're in a dating relationship with this person. You don't even know who you're dating? And the person was like, well, okay, number one, it's a form. It's not one of the 10 commandments handed down by God, okay? It's a form filled out by a family relations person. So before we accept it as God's truth, can we at least acknowledge that maybe the form could be wrong, or maybe let's question it? No, I have a form right here, a form, although we couldn't see the form because we couldn't see the judge. I have a form right here. And she goes, and he goes, pass, go sit down until you can figure out who you're dating, or whatever he said. And I think there was an undertone of, what kind of freaking, person are you?
Hold on.
I was so offended. I'm glad I brought this up.
Did I do you a favor this week?
Yeah, I forgot about that. But I'm so glad you brought this up.
What was the favor?
You went into the clerk's office and
picked
started
up a
asking
form.
questions.
Okay.
Because I went out to you at lunch and I said, Ed, there is somebody in there who's blurred out, who to me is bullying people around in the courtroom.
So now let me tell it. How much time do I have? Okay. I'm her chauffeur during the week. When I feel good, I'm the chauffeur.
Yeah, not so much anymore. But
but I go with her. I used to do more, but I can't do a lot, but I go.
Oh, God, now we got to get into the marshal who was obsessed with you.
So in the Stamford, Connecticut courthouse, there's a driveway that goes up.
There we go.
You take a right to go into the garage, and it has a wraparound where you can drop people off to go in the courthouse. Well, going up the driveway, I thought she was going to be in there and come right out. So I just parked on the side of the road, the driveway, so I could see the front door of the courthouse and see her when she walks out and go. So this female marshal stands there, she's looking at me, and I know the way she's going around, I know she's going to approach me. So she comes up, and I'm on my phone, I'm minding my own business. She says, "Sir, you're going to have to move." So, why? Well, you can't park here. Why?
Oh, boy.
She says, "Well, you just can't." I said, "There's no signs that said no parking." "Well, this is our driveway. We can tell you that you can't park here." I said, "Wait a minute. I'm not bothering anybody." "Well, you're blocking traffic." I said, "There's been no cars go by me. I mean, there was nobody in the court. The parking lot was it. The parking garage was empty."
And this courthouse is in my opinion, the Taj Mahal
Oh, yeah.
of courthouses
Oh yeah.
in
So-
Connecticut.
So
It's so big
finally-
and empty.
So finally, she's getting shitty with me, you know, threatening me and everything else. And I told her, I said, "Get the fuck out of my face! Get out of my face! Get away from me!" She says, "Well, I'm going to call my supervisor." I said, "Really? The proper protocol is to call the state police, because the state police have the powers of arrest on state property. So, you know, it's not the first time. Call the state police. I don't care."
Oh God, should I interrupt? We got to talk about what happened in Litchfield with that no parking sign. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
So, so then she calls her supervisor. He's a lieutenant, and he comes down and he goes, "Sir, is there some reason why I'm?" I said, "Look, I am so tired of marshals running my life every time I come to a courthouse." I said, "I'm a legal investigator for an attorney." I said, "I'm not bothering anybody. There's no parking signs. I'm legally parked on the side of the driveway here." I said, "Why don't you just leave me alone?" I said, "You know, I go to Middletown, I can't wear the glasses on top of my head. I go to Danielson and I can't put my arms up on the bench. I said, I go someplace else and I can't do this. I can't stand up when my back hurts in Hartford." I said, this is bullshit." And he goes, "Sir, have we been to a class together?" I said, "What?" I said, "What?" He says, "Have we been to a class together? You know, like a training class together?" I said, "I don't think so." And he goes, "Well, somebody told me the story about the glasses and the arms." He said, "And I can't figure out where you look very familiar." He says, I can't understand where I heard that. It had to be at one of these training sessions, because you live up there in Rocky Hill." I said, "Well, let me ask you a question." I said, "Do you watch YouTube?" He said, that's it. You're the guy on YouTube." He says, "And with that woman?" I said, "Yeah, she's the lawyer. She's up in second floor. She's up in the courthouse." So he laughs, I laugh, and I had to go anyhow to try and go to the bank to do something for Rachel and go to whatever. So I come back, and I'm trying to find Rachel. So I pull up in front of the building, and I didn't see it, but Rachel saw the female starting to come at me again.
Yeah, I was going to get in your car, and I saw the female marshal, and I thought, she is after Ed. And so I got in the car and you drove away.
And I went around, and now I park in the garage, and I back in to the parking spot, okay? And we're sitting there, she's on her, what I did was I had to go out and buy her a power supply for her laptop. So she plugs into the laptop in the car, she's working on the computer, I'm looking on my phone, and down at the entrance to the garage, I see the female marshal.
Oh, it was ugly.
And she's looking. And then she comes up to the car. And she says, "Sir, you're going to have to move your car." I
said, she didn't say it like that.
I know, but I said, "What's what?" And evidently, you know, next to a handicapped parking space, they have that big yellow marked area. It's for when a van comes in, the door opens, and the ramp comes down for the wheelchair. That's what it's for. Well, so I said, "Okay, whoa. So I take my handicap sticker and I put it up on the mirror.
Yeah, you didn't have it up.
I didn't have it up. I agree, but I wasn't parked in handicap. But she said, "Why don't you go park in handicap?" I'm sitting there going, "Look," I said, "Look, you just have to go away. Just
well,
the parking garage is empty."
I was gonna say, if it was very busy and there was a lot going on and people were coming in and out, it was empty.
So she starts. And I start coming back. Poor Rachel. Oh boy. And so finally she walks away. You know, she could tell on the radio or whatever. Next thing you know, 4 marshals come. The lieutenant and 3 other male marshals come. And they're standing over there and they're talking. And you can tell that she's telling him her story. Okay? Now, mind you, I talked to him after the first incident. You know, saying, "Look, just leave me alone. Stop hassling me. This is bullshit." So they talk for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the male officers walk back towards the courthouse, and she walks down towards her car in the parking garage. And I said to Rachel, I said, "Oh, she must be pissed that she can't come up here with 4 guys and muscle me out of this parking spot." But I could have parked sideways. There was no cars. 5 cars in the whole parking garage, maybe 10 at most.
Well, but you pointed something out about her parking place.
Hold on. I had an incident in Middletown, Connecticut, where the marshals were after me for parking and all kinds of shit. And they used to park their transport vans where they transport prisoners in back of the courthouse in a no parking zone. And when I brought it to their attention, I said, you can't park back there. They said, we're emergency vehicles. We're law enforcement vehicles. We're exempt. The law exempts us. I said, really? So I went and I did the research and I came back and said, you're not law enforcement. You're not exempt. You got to move the damn thing. So I know that marshals, especially in their personal vehicles, are not law enforcement. So when you drive into the garage, it says the public goes this way, and then it has a sign that says law enforcement from here over. Okay? And she parked in where it says law enforcement. And I felt like going and said, lady, now I'm going to tell you what I do. You are not law enforcement, and you're not supposed to be parking here.
But you did not do
so
that.
So I said, you want me to call state police? I'll call them, because you're illegally. Whatever. But we didn't. We just took off. But they bust your fucking ass.
But the favor you did for me was you got a sheet.
So now I go in. She tells me what's going on up in the courtroom. So I said, wait a minute. I said,
I mean, bear in mind. Listen, court starts at 10. I was running late and got there at 10:45. I sat there for an hour and a half and nothing happened.
Okay.
Court did not start.
I made a mistake today. I didn't prepare to sit here because last night I sat up and I made a list.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's a thing that goes like this. There's international topics, there's national topics, there's
Okay,
political
so just to
interest.
close out the other story,
Hold
you
on.
got a form.
No, I'm going to show you. So on state topics, I put down judicial issues, compliance with the Americans with Disability Act laws, virtual criminal and civil hearings, courthouse policies and rules, because I've asked them repeatedly, give me a set of your rules of what I can and can't do on courthouse property. Give me the rules. And there are no rules. So now I go to the clerk's office. And I say to the clerk's office, I said, my name is Ed Peruta from American News. I said, and I would like to have a copy of the policies and procedures for virtual hearings. In other words, why does the attorney upstairs drive all the way from Rocky Hill, Connecticut for an hour and a half on the road to get to the courthouse, only to find the judge is in his office, he's not in the courtroom.
Well,
The prosecutor, he's not in the courtroom. The monitor, she's not in the courtroom. Everybody's outside the courtroom except Attorney Baird.
well, you had the marshals.
No,
in the
I
courtroom.
mean the marshals. But I'm saying, everybody's, why, if I have to be in the courtroom, why the fuck isn't the judge in the courtroom?
Well, the thing about it is, if I'm in the courtroom but everybody else isn't it really remote anyway? So why do I have to go to the courtroom to be remote?
Okay.
Can't I just be remote somewhere else?
So I asked the lady, her name is Natalie, and she's a female that works in the clerk's office, and it's called Case Flow. She's the Case Flow coordinator in the courthouse. So while I'm talking to her and she's looking for information, the guy in back of me, JC, you're going to love this. Dave Warden, you're going to love this. The guy in back of me says, Case Flow, you can ask for information like that? I said, yeah, they got Case Flow. In other words, who determines whether it's going to be virtual or in the courthouse? Who determines whether the lawyer for the defendant has to come in or can do it remotely? Who determines that? And what is the criteria for determining it? So while I'm waiting for the answer, the guy's talking to me. He says, oh yeah, he says, my son and I, we believe that the Constitution isn't being protected or implemented properly.
Was his son there too, or
no,
just him?
No. He says, my son's been with me now. He came back. He's been with me now for about 2 years. Now, he's got his hat on. He's got his bandana covering his face and all that shit. And he says, yeah, he says, so, we come into the courthouse and check on things. And we also check out on the streets, what the cops are doing.
Yeah.
And I said, oh. And he goes, yeah, we do what's called audits. I said, oh, you do audits?
I thought you said the word audit
no.
and he recognized it.
He said audit. And I said, audit? I said, let me ask you a question. I said, because he says to me, yeah. He says, because I told him that we had a YouTube channel. And he goes, oh, I have a YouTube channel. And he gave me some name. And then he says, we have News Now Stanford.
Oh, there
okay?
it is. News Now
Stanford.
Yep.
And I said, News Now? He goes, yeah. He says, did you get that idea from watching News Now Houston, Dave Warden down there? He goes, yeah. He says, I was watching News Now Houston. I said, do you know that Dave Warden started News Now Houston because J.C. Playford had News Now San Diego, and I suggested to Dave that he start News Now Houston. And I said, Dave Warden and I are very good friends. And he says he's very popular. And so he's sitting there. The marshal knew who we were. The guy in back of me eventually realizes that I did what he did, but it was crazy. But I think that next week we have to get into judicial, because they gave me a form. She gave me a form.
Well,
She
because
says,
it's closest to our hearts and we're most passionate
right,
about it.
but the case flow coordinator was able to find the form. That a lawyer fills out a form and faxes it into case flow and says, I'd like to have my hearing virtual from my office. I'd like to appear virtually from my office. Mm-hmm. And I said to Rachel, this is the greatest thing since grapes made wine.
You're right.
I said, look at this. You don't have to go anymore. Because the minute they deny you, you're going to have the right to say, well, what was the criteria that made everybody else do remote and you didn't do it for me?
So we're going to wind up the show, and you guys have a good week. And next week, we're going to start with the stuff we know about, okay, Ed?
I know.
Have a good week.